Welcome everyone to the Final
Yes,
Point
yes.
podcast. I am your host, Adriel, with my co-host Josh in the building here today.
What's up, bro?
What's up, man? It's a good day for
We are
basketball.
back. We're back like we never left.
There was some great games on last night.
Crazy
Gr
games.
yeah, it there
What are
was
the
a lot
odds that the Celtics and the Heat both have crazy
crazy games,
finishes? Yeah.
and they kind of felt like playoff intensity.
Yes, it
Like
did.
there was an edge to those games, which I really enjoyed last night.
And
Um,
four teams that I really like. One team I really like,
yeah.
but four teams that we've been discussing a lot here.
hmm Yeah, and they're fun to watch, most importantly. Um, so, and also to address the viewers of the Point podcast, there will be a double episode coming out today because the last episode somehow didn't post. So I'm going to re-upload and upload tonight, along with this episode today. Um, so just that for discretion. But let's go ahead and talk about the topics for today. We're going to talk about first the Celtics and the Rockets battling out last night. We'll talk about that crazy finish along with the Miami and Magic overtime thriller from also last night. And later on in the show, we're going to get into some of the trade and talk about the trade deadline. Jimmy suspended once again indefinitely now. And the All-Star selections that were just recently announced in the last few days.
Hey, Jimmy has been fired.
Yeah,
He's not coming
he
back
was
to work.
publicly fired.
Right. Yeah. He's not coming back to work.
God. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's first get into our first topic of the night. Josh's favorite Celtics had a hard time trying to conquer the Houston Rockets last night. I mean, Josh, if you
No,
want,
no, we didn't have a hard time, and first of all, I don't like the title of this segment as it goes. Stumble is not the right word, man. I ain't trying to set me up here. That's not the right word, dude. It was not um the Celtics' best performance, but this highlights more the coaches. I think that my guy Joe was outcoached last night. And that's what it comes down to. The Rockets were getting favorable matchups, disrespecting Brooks and Amin Thompson with matchups that the Celtics thought were favorable because they were blitzing Fred all night and Jalen Green. And they forget that, a basketball team is 5 players. These are all NBA guys, right? This is the NBA. And everybody can play. And the Rockets got some dogs over there. And we've been talking about these dogs
Mhm.
all season long.
Yep.
And as much as I don't like Brooks as a person, when it's time to go, he goes, right? And he had the craziest stat line. He had such a Carmelo Anthony 2013 stat line. He had 36 points, no assists.
Yeah. Like you just knew once the ball was in his hand, he's catching and
Yeah, you want
shooting.
the ball go rebounded. That's what Dylan Brooks was on last night. And then you got Amin Thompson. I mean, if it's not Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown on Thompson, he's gonna have his way. No disrespect to Drew Holiday, but I'm gonna disrespect Drew Holiday, dude. You are too short for Amin Thompson, and you're too small for Dylan Brooks. And those were the matchups that Joe was trying to send at them, and it wasn't working. And I'm gonna go on record to say, and I'm a big Joe Mazzulla guy. We missed Ime Udoka.
I think that was a statement win last night.
It was, but this has been brewing for a little while now. But Ime Udoka outcoached him. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he knew exactly how to light the flame in Dylan Brooks and Amin Thompson. And he, in his press conference, he said it. Those guys took it personal, and they felt disrespected. And I mean, who had that? Who was gonna predict that Brooks would go off for almost, what, he had 10
I
threes?
yeah, so it was something like very close to that. I mean,
Yeah, no one's
there's
ever betting
we all
that
know
for
that Dylan
Dylan
Brooks is
Brooks.
he's not a shooter in that way, so we do know that, I mean, what you can't what you can't say about him is that it's that he never brings the intensity to the game. Every game, this dude is in it, in it. So
Hey,
I will comment. I'm not a big Dylan Brooks fan, but I will say that about him is that effort level, he's always there for the most
he
part.
he can be the perfect player to bring in. Like if a game is chippy,
Yeah,
like you add a Dylan Brooks in there, and it's gonna be an explosion. He's the perfect player to just ignite that, and that's what he does.
it
And he
reminds me
was and
of a Lance of like a Pacers Lance Stevenson. You know, when they throw Lance
right.
Stevenson out there, and they just wanted him to get the game physical or
But yes, the difference between Brooks and Stevenson is that Brooks can play some D, right?
yeah,
He plays defense, and he's physical, and he gets under the players, and he makes it hard. It's not that he stops people, because he's never gonna win Defensive Player of the Year. He's not that kind of impact
yeah.
player, but he does make it difficult.
His
Whether it's
build,
talking, or whether it's, you know what I mean, he's getting, those little cheap shots he likes to get in. All of that plays into it, and he's the perfect piece to this Rockets team, and he's an extension of Ime Udoka's personality. And I love the Rockets. I love what they're doing over there, and I miss Ime Udoka because it just shown yesterday. Even though, listen, we weren't fully loaded either. We were missing Horford, and we were missing Derek White. So, key pieces that we're missing. I don't think that changes the outcome, because Joe got to do a better job of making in-game adjustments. If you see, first of all, there's no reason why Amin Thompson and Brooks should have even got past 20. Like, once they got past 20, why aren't you making any adjustments? You let them go off for 30 each. They dropped 30 pieces on your head, and then you didn't even make no. And then he took to add to the insult. Thompson hit the fucking buzzer beater.
which
I mean, you put Jaylen Brown on him at the end. And listen, do we have that clip?
yeah, I'm pulling it up right now for
Let's
you.
play the clip when Jaylen Brown got it clearly pushed off the screen.
4.3 to go. Thompson on Brown into the lane.
I mean, listen, shout out to Amin Thompson for making that shot, because he's fading away. But we can argue that maybe Jaylen Brown should have tried hard to stay in front of him, but that push off really does help. And they're not gonna call that unless I mean, listen, they're not gonna call that, so I'm not crying about the missed call. It happens, but you can agree that that's a push off.
It's a slight push off, but I mean
We don't have
got
the other angle. If we had the 360 angle, you would be able to see that that's a push off.
Okay, I'll give you that point. That is very
It shouldn't even have got to that point. So I don't want to make it about that. It shouldn't have got to that point.
He did have he did get the first step on Brown, and
no, he didn't. Play it back.
I mean he beat the defender. Right? Like
that's not a step. No, Jaylen Brown was in front of him. If that's how you play defense, I'm cooking you on a 1v1. If that's what you think is good, listen, no, he's in front of him. That's not by him. The push off helped. Amin Thompson hit the shot. Shout out to him. Big win for the Rockets. I don't think this makes them better than us, right? I mean, do you think the Rockets are better than the Celtics right now?
No. Everyone knows that when
it's just one game.
Celtics fully healthy and in a playoff setting, they're the team to beat. I've said it already multiple times on this podcast as well.
But watch out the West with the Rockets, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, the Rockets are a real thing. Yeah, they are a real deal over there. Like I told you before, off tape. The Thompson brothers might have been genetically modified in a lab somewhere, because they're just athletic freaks. And they're really fun to watch. I know his brother's having a tougher time in Detroit, but for the most part, I mean, if he gets better defensively, it's pretty much over from that point. I mean,
if Amin Thompson develops a mid-range game,
yeah,
good night, because his defense is already top tier, elite defense.
Yeah, especially for such a young.
And he's just gonna get better. He's gonna get bigger, So that he's definitely one of my favorite up and coming young stars in the NBA. I think him and his brother will be averaging 20 points per game in the next maybe 3 to 4 years, if not sooner than that. That's how good he is.
So we all heard it live through the network. Josh prediction is probably going to come true, and we're going to come back to this podcast at this certain time, and we're going to come back to this moment. But no, I'm with you. I mean, both of them. I'm a fan of both of them. Amen especially is having such a great role, great year right now. So shout out to the Houston Rockets and Amen Thompson. Let's go ahead and move on to the other game last night that was on the Miami Magic OT thriller that we had last night. Listen, Heat Nation, we're back.
The Sunshine State Showdown.
We're back. Clarity. The clouds are now gone.
Hold on. No, wait a minute. Who's back? The Miami Heat are back, or the Magic are back?
The Heat are back.
What? There's just one game. They're not back.
No. Listen, if Heat Nation knows what I'm talking about.
Okay,
we're
yeah,
back.
I'm not Heat Nation, so yeah,
No,
you're
yeah.
right.
My
I am
podcast
out of that one.
My non-Heat Nation podcast viewers, listen,
Yeah.
guys. This is the best one of our season.
I thought you were talking about the Magic are back
The Magic are back.
because they got Paolo and Franz
Yeah,
back.
exactly. And they're
They've
playing.
been injured
They're
for
playing great.
right. So all right,
But most of all, the Heat are back. And
stop saying that, dude.
listen, they had the best win of the season. They went ahead as well and jumped up in the standings from
Big
number
one.
8 to 6 seed now, which is huge. Now this win last night kind of felt like this is the win to kind of propel the season to the right footing. Now you kind
Yeah.
of see like there's a clarity within the defense, the offense now. It's a big game as well because Bam broke out of his shell, nearly a 30-point triple-double.
Yeah, but I mean, this has to be consistent with Bam. I mean, this is
I
how
agree.
Bam should be playing.
Yes, and I agree. But to know how bad this slump he was in, this was such a great game to see out of him. Again, Tyler Hero doing Tyler Hero things, All-Star year, and most of all, shout out Khalil Ware, potential Rookie of the Year. This guy is everything he does is outstanding for someone of his age and so quick thrown in. Like it's truly amazing.
Not so fast, buddy. Real quick. Khalil Ware does have a flaw in his game. And of course, everybody has flaws in their game. But one big one of his is he gets in foul trouble. I mean, he cannot stay on his feet.
Yeah.
And once he learns how to get vertical and avoid the contact, but still bother the shot, he has to learn how to change shot directions. I mean, he's gonna be elite once he figures it out. But right now, he had like 3 fouls in the first half.
Yeah, I do say that he gets a little block hungry. He'll try to block.
He goes for everything.
Exactly. And once he kind of learns that he needs to stay with his man instead of just committing to the quick guard, all that will probably get squared away. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, the super young and just we just started. We basically just inserted him into the starting lineup. For the last like 5-6 games now, and it's been working, which everyone knew. All of Heat Nation knew. It's most people.
You had glimpses of it, but one thing about him is that you forget how big he is until he's standing next to Bam. Like he's long, like he's 7'1", 7'2", but his span is like at least 7 feet, man.
And I think
the knockdown shot.
Yeah, the 3-point shot is. I'm still not very sold on it yet, but he's got a nice jumper for a big man of his stature, which is pretty impressive. And great hands too. I mean, you could throw it up anywhere, he's gonna catch it. So I do like that. I'm going to play one of my favorite highlights from last night. Like I said, this was a good game for Bam. We needed this from him. But this is what he needs to do: slot him to the power forward, beat his defender. That he can do these things.
That's what we
every
haven't
game.
seen. We haven't
Every
seen
game.
that from Bam all season long.
Exactly. And he can
Where
do
was
this
that
every
at?
game. Yeah. And like I said, he's two in his head. He's constantly thinking. I feel like with now Ware in the lineup, when you slot him out of that position, now defensively he doesn't have to worry so much, think so much, and he goes into pure score mode. And this is what we get. And especially on this game, he was able to really like follow Paulo throughout the game defensively, which was great to see. And they can switch a lot now with Ware and his size. So the small ball lineups are finally over. Thank God. We can move on to things that actually work.
Yeah, I don't know what took Spo so long to make this change. I mean, if you know basketball, then you would know that the Khalil Ware and the Bam fit works, because for some reason Bam doesn't operate well as a 5. He likes it better at the 4, and you can see he's more comfortable guarding at the 4.
Yes.
Because, like you said, now he can put you on an island and not worry about getting beat because he has Khalil Ware behind him, right? As opposed to him being the 5, he is the rim protector. And I don't think he fits well in that role. As athletic as Bam is, and as fast he can get off the floor as he does, it's still he's still more comfortable at the 4. And I don't know why it took Spo so long to make this move.
Yeah, this hasn't been Spo's best year, I'll say.
Yeah, he dropped the ball on that one.
But also, this hasn't been the most ideal year either. So,
hey, do you think this? I mean, there's gonna be some changes. This Heat lineup is gonna change. I don't know how much it's gonna change with the whole Jimmy aspect of it, but it is gonna change. And right, if the teams were to go, if this was a playoff right now, as the roster stand, at both teams' rosters stand, I got Magic.
I mean, I think that's respectful take.
Everyone knows 7 games, and you got Paolo and Franz, and I just think that's too much because of the version that I've seen from Bam. Now, if Bam is consistently like this, then Tyler Hero got something to work with now, right? But if he's kind of off and on like he's been all season long, I got the Magic in a playoff series.
And listen, that this year has been such a roller coaster for them. A lot of good and bad, mostly bad, and a lot of.
It's been fun to watch. The Heat Nation meltdown has been fun to watch. You guys are crashing out online.
Yeah, hey, it's
crazy because I know this is our next segue. We should just kind of go into it now, but it's just the 180 that the Jimmy fans have done since all this the Jimmy saga has begun has been entertaining. As a Celtics fan, it has been highly entertaining watching y'all melt down.
I just think it wasn't healthy for both sides, which that kind of trickled over frustration from the fans, and the fans just went ballistic like they always go ballistic once their best player is departing. But this felt worse than the LeBron. I mean, actually, I don't know, because I mean, they were burning.
How is this? You see this, but you see, this is the problem that I have with Heat fans. You see, and it's not just you; it's a lot of Heat fans that do this. You guys put Jimmy on the same level as LeBron. What do you mean? It's like LeBron. He didn't do nothing. He went to the finals. That's cute and all, but he just went to the finals. And before all this happened, Heat fans was riding for Jimmy. Jimmy's the best. I mean, putting him on levels of top 5 talent in the league, and I've been saying this whole time, he's not.
Yeah, it goes Wade, Bron, Jimmy. But now with what has transpired, I don't know, kind of soiled the legacy a little bit. But I mean, that's how it should
I'll
go.
let you guys sort it out, but that's not the order. I'll let you guys sort that out, but that's not the order, dude.
Yeah, hey, that, to
Anyone
me, that's
outside
the
of
right
a
one.
Miami Heat fan knows that's not the order.
Well, if you're talking about just Heat player, then
Right, but no one saw it ending like this, and the fact that it is,
no,
we
yeah,
find it funny.
I didn't see. Yeah,
It's just
I,
it's just funny how
I
it's
didn't
ending
I
now.
didn't see it happening coming out this way.
Right.
I knew it was coming. I just didn't know it was gonna be like this. I just hate. I think what made this even worse, and I'm gonna end this topic on this one, but I think what makes it worse is all the spectacle
Yeah.
of the whole situation. The agent going after Shams on Twitter, and like all the back and forth from media and players doing this. Like, it's just so much.
I love it, man.
It makes it just so ridiculous. And then also,
Are you not entertained?
no, I'm not entertained. But this last highlight of last night's game, I was entertained. Khalil Ware rises
Yeah,
for
that is big time, man. I mean, and
this
that's
right
gonna
here.
listen. That's gonna be there a lot.
Mhm.
He's Where's in the dunker spot? If you notice this clip, Paolo, first of all, made one of the biggest mistakes here that you can make in this specific scenario, because he has his back to Ware. He loses track of him.
Yeah.
You gotta have your head on the swivel, and Paolo, that's a missed assignment on Paolo.
And he was doing
And
this
when
all,
he
all
realized that
game.
it was already too late, Ware was already on top of his head.
Yeah. No, yeah, this was my favorite play of last night, gotta say, because this was also to have them go up by 2 late in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Khalil Ware, shout out to you, man.
Put him on a poster.
Yes. So let's move on to our next topic. We already were talking about the Jimmy situation. Jimmy got suspended indefinitely now. He has now missed 14 games under suspension. Yeah, shout out to Jimmy for all this attention.
Hey,
Love it, bro. Making my life every
was
day great.
Was it 8 games first, and then 2 games, right? So he got suspended 8 games first.
Hmm.
Then he was suspended 2 games, and now he's suspended indefinitely.
Yeah,
Is it fair to say that Jimmy was fired?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
being
For
asked
sure.
not to come back
Yeah, that's
until they find
exactly.
a trade for him.
Yeah.
They just don't want to say that, but that's what's happening right now.
No, yeah, and like there was some reports as well that came out today, you know, of him walking out on shoot around, and also them adjusting their price on him in the trade market.
That's something that I knew was going to happen. It was a matter of time until the Heat lowered their expectations for what seems to me a pain in the ass Jimmy Butler. No one wants that on their team.
Yeah.
And there's a few, listen, I understand it's going to be a bitter day when he's gone, but it's also going to let everybody move on.
I think
Right.
last night was the kind of move on picture for, at least for fans.
For the indefinite suspension, because now he's not coming back.
Yeah, and I think last night's game was perfect for that, because I mean, we saw, without Jimmy, and most of the time, he's either hurt or not playing half the time or whatever's going on. The Heat been playing with most of this core already.
Yeah.
Added now with the young stars. So I mean, the future's bright. They have
Yeah.
good. They're gonna get cap space. They got some good players cooking. A younger team is favorable. I mean, five going into 6 years now on this build. Time's up. Time to move on. A soft rebuild and try to plan again. And I
But-
think that's what I think the Heat finally realized that.
Yeah, and listen, like you said, I think it is. I think there is light at the end of the tunnel for this core, because look how they're playing, and as long as you can keep Hero, Duncan, Bam, and Ware, as long as you can keep them 4,
Yeah.
and
build.
who knows what you can get for Jimmy? We don't know what the market is for Jimmy. I think it's a lot lower than people think it is, but who knows what the market is right now for him? And if they're even lucky enough to get back someone like the tier of let's say a Jamal Murray, right? I'm not saying Jamal Murray, but I'm saying someone in that on that level that perhaps had a little kind of setback, whether it be injury or just age. They're gonna be a better team. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm hoping that the Heat don't try to fleece people for Jimmy, but it doesn't sound like teams are gonna fall for that anymore. So, what's realistic for Jimmy in return right now? Because you don't know what Jimmy you're gonna get.
Yeah, my expectation is, and they have already publicly said that they're looking for a younger player or a short-term contract player. That's what they're looking for. Me personally, I would love if we got Jalen Wells straight trade for Jimmy from Memphis, and then we'd send him to Memphis, which they've shown that they wanted him.
But Jimmy
he
said
doesn't want to go.
Right, he doesn't want to.
I
Why
get
does
it.
Jimmy want to go to Memphis, man? Did him and John Moran get into something that we don't know about?
What? Who knows, man?
'Cause that's so random for him to say not there.
And he makes it
'Cause
it
there
makes
makes
total
sense.
Exactly, and it makes sense. I can see why Memphis would be okay with doing it, because then they can have Jimmy for, they basically rent him for the rest of the season, see where they land, and he could dip by beginning of next season. So it seems like that would be the rite of passage for him. But
Dude, Bradley Beal makes sense, and I know you
Not
guys
on-
don't want Bradley Beal, but
Nobody
Bradley Beal
wants
makes sense.
if
The only
Bradley
thing
Beal
is-
if Bradley Beal was on a cheaper contract, I think the trade would have already gotten done.
It's the no contract clause. I mean, it's the no trade clause that Pat Riley I don't think wants to take on.
And the amount of
And
money.
You can't fault him for that, right? Because let's say Jimmy Butler had the same kind of contract that Bradley Beal has. This situation just got a lot more difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because now he gets his say so on where he goes. Right now, Jimmy don't really have a lot of leverage with Pat Riley. He can send them any way he wants. But
Exactly.
if to get a better deal and to get more in return, the other team involved in the trade has to know that Jimmy at least has somewhat of a commitment to re-sign for a longer term, and that's what Jimmy wants. That's what this whole thing is about. So Pat's not going to do that. The team that Jimmy goes to, Jimmy has to agree on, or else they're not going to get a lot back. So he has no leverage.
And hopefully this just gets resolved, because it's already like unbearable for both parties.
Any day now.
Yeah. And just a couple hours ago, I mean, they were saying that Golden State has now re-entered talks for this Jimmy deal.
Yeah, listen, for the delusional Heat fans that have lost their minds and talking about make the De'Aaron Fox for Jimmy Butler trade happen, dude, that's not happening. That's not a fair trade. The Kings don't want Jimmy Butler in return. Okay? Now, the Kings don't really have a lot of leverage either, because De'Aaron Fox is not signing the extension with them. So this is an interesting situation. Do you kind of just pull the trigger on that, knowing you don't want to play like Jimmy back, or you get a third team involved?
No, for sure, by minimum, this Jimmy deal is going to be a 4-team, could be even
3 to 4
5-team.
team trade deal.
Yeah, it's going to be a big deal. There's going to be a lot of facilitators. We've heard as well of Toronto Raptors being a facilitator as well. There's going to be a lot of facilitating teams. So the only thing I can say, in a perfect world maybe, or in some insane way, De'Aaron could land here in a multi-team deal, depending on what the Heat send out, and depending on what else transpires of that deal.
The third team has to give up. The third team involved has to give up a lot for Jimmy to make this thing all balance out, because the De'Aaron Fox to Miami, first of all, would rock the NBA landscape, especially if the Heat don't give up a lot and they keep that core that I just mentioned. That changes the East. In the East right now, that I think the East right now is a this is a 3-horse race in the East. Okay, it's Celtics, it's Bucks, and unfortunately for you, it's not the Heat, and it's the Knicks.
For sure.
It's the Celtics, it's the Bucks, it's the Knicks. And if the Heat make this trade, if this trade happens, the NBA fan wins, because that Eastern Conference, that Eastern playoffs is gonna be crazy. Because that, you see, now that team can contend, but what are they getting back? Like what is the Heat gonna give up for him?
Yeah, and that's
you
the
see
big
Jaquez
question.
leaving? Can you see
I-
Robinson leaving? Is a team gonna want Jimmy and Jaquez, or Jimmy and Duncan Robinson?
It just depends
Jimmy
on the
and
type
Ware?
of player. Yeah. No, I don't think they're gonna get rid of Ware. Now I think they finally found
Dude,
their
if you
their
get
big next to Bam.
if you're getting back De'Aaron Fox, do you include Ware with Jimmy? If that means you're getting back De'Aaron Fox,
I don't think Pat does it.
not that sweetens up the deal.
It does, but
That's a
I don't.
legitimate package.
I don't see them doing that at all. I don't think they would at all.
Well, that's what it's gonna take to get De'Aaron Fox. So
Yeah.
cross him off your list. Hey, I have some interesting landing spots for De'Aaron Fox. Okay.
Okay.
So this was just announced today, right?
Mhm.
And already there's rumors that there's a couple teams that are in as front runners, and you tell me if these make sense, right?
Okay.
And I'm thinking from an organizational standpoint, it makes sense for the Spurs to get involved in the De'Aaron Fox sweepstakes, because you have Wemby. De'Aaron Fox is what, 26, 27?
Yeah, I think
Still
he's like
very much in his prime. You got Stephen Castle, UConn's very own. That makes sense for Fox. Now his agent has said that that he has a destination team in mind. I don't know if it's one of these teams, but the Spurs to me make sense. What do you think about that?
I like the Spurs fit a lot. I think it makes perfect sense for the makeup of that team, and to get a dynamic guard who could play defense. Let me not say, well, he could play defense pretty okay. He does average a lot of steals, but I mean, his defense is okay. I'm gonna leave it at that. But a combo guard of his stature paired up with Wemby, and you do have a veteran in Chris Paul at the moment that's still on the team with the young core, and Stephen Castle, like we're speaking about. Yeah, I like that team a lot. It makes sense. Honestly, that might be my number one spot for him.
Yeah, because the Spurs, even though Vassell and I forgot his name. He's been so relevant this
Sochan?
year. Well, you know what? Sochan's interesting too, but no, they're other guard,
Keldon Johnson.
Keldon Johnson. So he's taking a step back this season. So is
Yeah.
Vassell. They have those pieces, and they got draft picks. Now, the Spurs 2028 draft pick is very interesting, because depending on how the Spurs do for the next 2 to 3 seasons, Wemby may be on the move to a bigger market, and we see it all the time.
Yep.
So that 2028 Spurs first round pick may be gold. And if I'm the Kings and I'm looking at it from the assets that I'm gonna get back, the Spurs makes a lot of sense. I don't even know if the Spurs are really in it. It's just a rumor, but that's an interesting one. And then also the Rockets. I don't know if you're the Rockets front office, do you want to shift that momentum and that chemistry that they have right now and change the lineup and add a De'Aaron Fox? But a De'Aaron Fox in Houston is scary. If
Yeah.
again, like Miami, they keep their core and they add a De'Aaron Fox, can you imagine a De'Aaron Fox and Amin Thompson combo?
They'd get that. That would be that front court right there.
Because Jalen Green got to be on the move. They have to give up either Jalen Green or Van Fleet, and Van Fleet in Sacramento makes sense because you got Malik Monk who's just signed. I think he just signed a deal, so he's there for the next couple
Yeah.
years. A Van Fleet would make sense for the Kings, so I like that package too. I don't know where Jalen Green goes. If you can keep Jalen Green. And all right, I mean, if you can keep
Yeah.
Jalen Green and add, okay, I mean, the Rockets just got a lot better.
A little
Uh,
small, but they,
A
I
little
do
small,
like the make.
but
I
Jalen
like the
Green
makeup
plays
of that team.
right, but Jalen Green plays the two, and Jalen Green plays off ball. So all you're doing is replacing Van Fleet, who got a big deal that I don't think is worth it. All you're doing is replacing Van Fleet with De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, give me that all
Yeah,
day.
it'd be a steal.
Yeah, I'll take that all day over most teams. I like that lineup over most teams in the West right now. And my fourth team would be the Nuggets. Listen, who wouldn't want to go play with Jokic? Right?
course.
Jamal Murray has slipped these past couple seasons since he's been back from injury. It's his first season back from injury that he's fully healthy. He doesn't really, I mean, he has his moments, but if you can switch him with a De'Aaron Fox and pair him up with an MVP like Jokic, listen, if De'Aaron Fox is trying to win,
And keep
then I'm
Westbrook
trying to
on the
make my
bench.
way over to Denver. If he's trying to win, because I mean they'll have to add some more pieces to that, but I like that scenario for him.
Yeah, and he's a athletic combo guard again, paired up as well with Russell Westbrook in the backcourt. That could be a really fast-paced, dynamic offense going on there on Nuggets. I still think the San Antonio pick is the best spot for him,
But
I do like the Nuggets.
the Spurs makes the most sense, and I would not be surprised if he ends up a Spur, just because it's Wemby, and De'Aaron Fox knows that everybody needs to be trying to get out the way now because the Wemby era is coming. It's not here yet, but the Wemby era is coming. So if De'Aaron Fox is smart enough, he gets on that train. Listen, the last team is a team that I hate mentioning, but he has the connections. I mean, he was the fucking groomsman at this guy's wedding. Is the Miami Heat. That's the
Kentucky
last team. I
reunion.
mean, it's that team, that trade. People will be surprised because I'll be surprised because I don't think they have enough. But if Pat Riley pulls that off and he gets to Miami, those are the four for me. But the one that makes the most sense is the San Antonio one.
Yeah, of course, it's in the back of my head every day, but the De'Aaron Fox move to Miami would be perfect. Like I said, Kentucky reunion, Tyler and Bam. Bam's teammates with De'Aaron. I mean, and honestly, that's what they're needing because they thought they were going to get that with Terry Rozier.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten any efficiency out of Terry Rozier this whole season. So adding
there was this funny comment someone put on Twitter. They go, if Terry Rozier would stop being a terrorist, we can get into the top 5.
I mean, hey, he's right. He's right because Terry has just. I'm sorry.
He makes stupid plays at the worst time, man. And it's
I agree.
this is not pickup basketball, and I like Scary Terry, man. But sometimes he just be doing.
I think he's a good.
most.
I think like his effort level is always there. Always there. He tries his heart out. It seems like a great guy, but unfortunately, this has been a historic, like horrible season for him, and it's not helping.
And it's not that he's a bad player. Listen, if Terry Rozier pulls up to any LA Fitness,
He's dropping
play
100.
against some averages. It's play against some casuals. He's dropping 250. All right,
Yeah,
so
for
he's
sure.
that good, but it's so hard to find a fit for him on a team. I mean, I don't know if he's maybe the NBA play style has left Terry behind. Like, remember it left.
Yeah.
It left Jamal Crawford behind too, with that whole
Yeah.
play style where they're so unorthodox and unconventional. But if to adapt that, to plug that into any team, you can't. It has to be the right fit for him.
Yeah. And honestly, I think if he just slows his game down and
He
takes more,
can't. He's on 1,000. He just goes.
I know, and that's the problem. Or even his if he just does more catch and shoots instead of just dribbling, I feel like he'd have a more efficient night, or maybe his play style would be better that way. But it is what it is. I mean, yeah, De'Aaron Fox in Miami. That would be the trade that shakes up the NBA for sure. But yeah, I would like him. Realistically, the Spurs one makes sense, and I'm with you on that one. Let's go ahead and move on to our final segment of the night. All-Star selections, ladies and gentlemen. The All-Star roster has been announced. We are still waiting on the reserves to be announced any day now, literally. But as of right now, I'm going to pull up. And also today, the Rising Stars were announced. We'll get into that in a little bit. But right now for the East, you have Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Kat, Giannis, and JT, Jason Tatum, starting for you guys for the East. West, we have Steph Curry, SGA, Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James. Me personally, this West team, I think is going to spank the East team. But I'm not really sure how the whole model is going to go down this year for the All-Star game.
Yeah, they have some sort of new format that they're working out.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what that looks like. But this Western Conference, All-Star is gonna have a different. This is gonna be a kind of like a different kind of meaning for this roster. What I'm trying to say is that this is gonna mean a little more than just an All-Star, because you have an end of an era that is on this team with Curry, Durant, and James. And as a longtime NBA fan, this is gonna be one of those All-Star games that I'm gonna watch, because we may not see those three on the court at the same time ever again. LeBron James has hinted this may be his last season. Let's be honest, he doesn't have anything else to prove. Maybe one more championship would have shut a lot of haters up. But
it would have been also a good retirement. Like,
it would have been a good retirement, but
sunset, just retire.
Yeah,
champion.
But no matter what he does, in a lot of people's eyes, he's never gonna be above Jordan. And you can always put up an argument that he's had a better career than Jordan. Maybe Jordan's the better player. Maybe Jordan's the better clutch player. LeBron James is the better playmaker. You always have those kind of arguments, and I'll leave those for the barbershops. But if this is LeBron's last season, he, without a doubt, the argument is Jordan or LeBron. It's not Jordan and Kobe. It's not Jordan and Wilt. It's not Jordan and Magic. It's Jordan and LeBron. And it's gonna be bittersweet to watch this era come to an end, because we forget how old Steph Curry is. I mean, Steph Curry's 36. Yeah. 36 years old, man.
And he still got it. I mean,
he still got it, but it's
not
just,
as explosive, but
right. I mean, we're seeing the decline.
Yes.
Right before our eyes, we're watching them decline. We're not seeing the 40 points, the 50 points, the 50-point random games during the season that we used to see from them. Mm-hmm. They're still playing at a very high level, and just enjoy it while you can, right?
Yeah.
Soak it all up, because this may be the last time we see all three of these guys on the court during an All-Star weekend.
Yeah, and and it's weird too seeing it from my angle because I'm younger, so I didn't get to see the Jordan era, but I did grow up watching LeBron come into high school and then get on that Cavs team, and that whole journey of his is crazy to see now that he's older and nearing retirement.
Yeah,
It is a bittersweet type of feeling you get. But I will say that I was more worried about the future of the NBA a couple years ago. I think right now I don't feel that way. Where the talent level is through the roof, which I'm excited for the future as well.
But hey, listen. Yes, listen. The NBA is headed in a great direction. It is in good hands. We have some young studs coming up. So yeah, no, and you know what? You know what's funny is that as the West, these stars are slowly descending, right? On the East side, you got the cream of the crop for amongst the top 10 in the NBA, right? Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. You missing Jalen Brown out of that.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero is mentioned as
potential reserve.
Right. The way I look at it is, yes, we're looking at like NBA stars in general, right? But the way I look at it, because the game has become so global, I'm looking at who the Americans, right? Like who do we have that we could just put out there like the Avengers every Olympics and just, stomp everybody out. And I like our team. I like what we have now, and I like what we have in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Coming up. I'm very confident that America will retain its dominance on the world level.
Yeah, I think so too.
Despite our biggest stars descending, going off into the sunset. So the NBA is in good hands, and United States basketball is in good hands. God bless America.
God bless America. I think it's gonna be. They'll be fine. That's just how I think of it. They'll be all right. We'll always be okay.
Sometimes I be worried. I don't know. that 2014 worried me, man. I don't know if we're gonna be okay.
Yeah. No. I do remember watching that with my dad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, dude.
Yeah, it did feel like a knife straight to the heart. Even for me being young.
What the fuck is happening here?
Yeah. So I'm gonna also put up the Rising Stars game, so we could just look at the rookies and the sophomores that were in here. Obviously, some of these players aren't going to be here because they're out for the season, like Brandon Miller and Jared McCain, which would have been great to see. But we got Carlton, Stephen Castle, Tristan Da Silva, Zach Edey, Dalton Connect, McCain, Yves Messi, Zachary, Rissacher, Alex Sarr, and Jalen Wells, who I hope is a potential Miami Heat candidate very soon. Very soon, because I'm a fan of his game.
He's not going anywhere, dude. He's in Memphis. He's in Memphis.
Let's hope.
Hey, so first of all, one thing that I'm noticing from these rookies and sophomore selections every year, what I like to do is go through the list of the sophomores and see some of the players that really don't belong on that team, and they should be actual all-stars playing on Sunday based off of the hype and their draft order, where they were drafted at. And one thing I'm noticing is, and it's maybe we've had this Scoot Henderson, maybe a bust conversation in the past, but Scoot should not be on the sophomore team. He should be an all-star, or should have been in contention to be an all-star, because who are you going to take out of the East? I mean, I'm being realistic, but based off of his projection that and all the hype he had coming in, Scoot Henderson should have been an all-star right now. I mean, this guy was overhyped. And Brandon Miller.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Miller was having a really good year this year.
He was having a good year, but I'm talking about the hype coming in. Right?
For sure, but Scoot had the same hype as Wemby.
Oh, Scoot had crazy hype.
Yeah. I mean, he
And
just
it's
had
like, dude, I mean, you're on the sophomore. Maybe you're a late bloomer, but I don't think he warranted all the hype.
I will say he's had like a way better year this year. It kind of looks like he's kind of forming into himself now. Like the game has kind of slowed down for him a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's still way too early to say. But as of right now, with the hype that was generated and everything, he hasn't lived up to his expectations. On this
No.
list, on this list right now, other than Amon Thompson because of injuries, he hasn't really played much as well. But on this sophomore list, Brandon Miller, I could make the argument that he's kind of lived up to his height. If he didn't get injured, recently. So
Yeah, listen, regardless of the circumstances, they shouldn't be on this list. And I know there's always
Yeah.
circumstances, but they don't belong on this list. I considered Brandon Miller and Scoot to be potential all-stars. And maybe it's still gonna happen. I'm not saying that it's over for them, but that's just interesting. Out of this rookies list, who do you think is gonna end up an eventual all-star? I got two names in here. I'm going with Stephon Castle and Jared McCain that have the potential to be all-stars.
yeah, at least in,
Hey,
in
De
this,
Silva's good though.
yes,
Silva is legit.
yeah, De Silva's great. I really like Jared McCain and Alex Sarr. I think Alex Sarr could develop to be something in
Because
the
of his
future.
size.
His size, and he's got a good feel for the game. He's very aggressive, and he's got a nice shot as well. We just need the efficiency and some of the 3-point percentage to
Yeah.
go up. But I mean, for the most part, Alex Sarr, I like him a lot defensively. I was gonna put Jalen Wells in there, but I mean, he's not really beating much, in that Grizzlies matchup. So, but I am a fan of him. I hope he becomes a Miami Heat.
Yeah, no, I mean they're all probably gonna be good. Dude, Jalen Wells is not gonna leave the Grizzlies. I mean, but you know what? It'll be so Grizzlies if they do that. But listen, nowadays, right? If you happen to get a draft pick that falls on your lap that has that much potential and is showing that his ceiling is higher than you originally thought, then you've struck gold, right? And
Yeah.
the Grizzlies have struck gold with Jalen Wells, no doubt about it. And you can say the same for the 76ers with Jared McCain once he comes back. Hopefully he comes back. That's a nasty injury.
Yeah.
Wish him the best. I hope he comes back fully healthy and able to, because he's a straight up
I was-
baller.
Yeah, I was high on him.
Maybe the injuries stop him from doing all that TikTok dancing and shit, but besides that, he could play ball. But
Yeah.
Stephon Castle, 100%.
Yeah, I like his game a
You can
lot.
take that to the bank. Stephon Castle is going to be an all-star.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for joining us on the Final Point podcast. Like I said, this episode will be uploaded with the previous episode, and we'll get back to you guys probably right before trade deadline. We'll have another episode out soon. Probably as well an emergency episode depending on where Jimmy gets traded
Yes,
to. in
if
the
Jimmy
coming
is
days.
traded, there will be an emergency reaction video
So there
with
you
all the
guys have
details.
it. All right, guys, have a good night.